The House Committee will hold a special meeting tomorrow to discuss the new subsidiary legislation for the national security law, which took effect on Tuesday. The freight sector expects to see huge rise in Hong Kong's exports amid the Sino-US tariff war truce. An application for some 16,000 new niches will begin on Monday, including 6,000 spaces at the newly constructed Shek Mun Columbarium. Good evening. You are watching Cable News. I'm Evelyn Bai. Following the enactment of the two subsidiary laws of the city's homegrown security ordinance, the new legislation was sent for negative vetting procedure at the Legislative Council today and will be discussed in the House Committee special meeting tomorrow. Under the new legislation, 6 premises used by the National Security Office have been classified as prohibited places, with signs reading "Prohibited Place, No Trespassing" posted at 2 of these sites. Unauthorized entry to any of these sites could result in up to 2 years imprisonment upon conviction. Those entering or approaching such areas for espionage-related activities could face up to 20 years behind bars. The subsidiary regulations were submitted to the Legislative Council for negative vetting procedure, where laws first took effect and are later reviewed by lawmakers. This came after Security Chief Chris Tang's request for special arrangements to expedite the oversight process. In the purpose of the earlier the better to safeguard national security, Tang also urged Steri Lee, chairwoman of the House Committee, to support the government's legislative work. Under the rules of procedure, the Legico may resolve to amend the legislation or extend the scrutiny period within 28 days from the date on which the subsidiary law is laid on the table. The US-China tariff rollback took effect today, set to last 90 days. Freight sector's representatives expected Hong Kong to see a surge in exports as manufacturers rush to ship goods to the US, making use of this temporary pause in the tariff dispute. Shek Mun reports.
Following trade talks, the US and China agreed to significantly reduce tariffs, with US levies on Chinese goods dropping from 145% to 30%, while China's tit-for-tat duties on US goods will drop to 10% from 125% effective today. Freight industry leaders welcomed the move, predicting a sharp rise in exports starting next week. Gary Lau, chairman of the Hong Kong Association of Freight Forwarding and Logistics, said exporters will seize the 90-day window to ship as many products as possible to the US, primarily through sea shipments, as air freight costs may increase by at least 40% to 50%. He noted that many e-commerce platforms had suspended U.S. shipments, leading to a backlog of inventory in warehouses awaiting export. As for low-value small packages, where de minimis duties dropped from 120% to 54%, Lau expected export volumes to reach at least 70 to 80% of previous levels. Andrew Kwok, president of the Hong Kong Small and Medium Enterprises Association, said shipping costs remain unaffordable for small to medium-sized companies despite the reduction. He added that many have already started exploring new markets like Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. However, he remained optimistic about further positive developments as trade negotiations continue. He urged the government to mobilize additional logistic resources to support the anticipated export surge over the next 2 months. Cheryl Yun, Cable News.
The Food and Environmental Hygiene Department will begin accepting applications for over 16,000 public cremings niches, including 6,000 at the newly built smoke-free Shek Mun Columbarium in Sha Tin. Applications will open next Monday and close on June 18th, with results announced in the third quarter. Kun Ting Yang tells us more.
The new Shek Mun facility, set to open in the third quarter of this year, will offer 40,000 niches in total once fully operational across its 3 floors. However, only 6,000 niches will be allocated in this round. The Columbarium, an 8-minute walk from Shek Mun MTR station, bans incense burning and paper offerings entirely, a first for the city, prompting officials to caution traditional worshippers against choosing the site. The remaining 10,000 niches in this phase are spread across existing facilities at Cape Collinson and Wong Hop Shek. All niches will use a renewable 20-year lease system, with standard niches costing $2,400 and larger niches for 3 or more urns priced at $3,000. Leases can be renewed every decade indefinitely, provided fees are paid. FEHD Assistant Director Jacqueline Ho stressed that the city's current and future cremain supply is sufficient, with no waiting list for applicants. The department also pledged to continue seeking long-term sites to meet demand, according to Ho. Quentin Ya, Cable News.
Chief Executive John Lee has wrapped up his Middle East tour and is set to return to the city later tonight. The final day of his visit saw Hong Kong and Kuwait seal 24 agreements, cementing partnerships in sectors from finance and green energy to education and aviation. Quentin Ya reports.
The Memorandums of Understanding signed at a business luncheon co-hosted by the SAR government and the Trade Development Council span trade, investment, financial services, maritime industries, legal cooperation, and sports. Delivering a keynote speech at the event, Lee emphasized the city's role as a vocal advocate of free trade.
Free trade is among our great competitive advantages, fueling our success for the past 2 centuries. Hong Kong is a free port, and we will continue to be a free port. Like our country, we are a vocal advocate for multilateral, rules-based global economy, in spite of mounting protectionism and geopolitical tensions.
The city leader also announced plans to open a second trade office in the Gulf Cooperation Council region, building on what Lee described as burgeoning bilateral ties that could pave the way for a future free trade agreement. The agreements followed Lee's meeting with the Kuwait Direct Investment Promotion Authority earlier today, where discussions focused on expanding collaboration in emerging sectors like green energy, technology, and innovation. Lee stressed the need to deepen strategic cooperation amid global economic uncertainties, calling Kuwait a trusted partner. Quentin Ya, Cable News.
MTR Corporation, the city's sole railway operator, said it identified 280 abuse cases of the $2 public transport subsidy scheme since implementing a real name registration system 8 months ago. Prior to mandating real identity registration, a total of 9,624 abuse cases were logged from June 25, 2023 to August 24, 2024. Averaging 158 violations per week. However, the weekly average has plunged to 8 cases since the implementation of real name registration. Among the reported cases, 14 cases involved suspected misuse of the Joyu car, prompting MTR to seek assistance from the police and resulting in 5 arrests. One of those arrest cases had completed prosecution, with the arrested convicted of theft and fined $400. Other cases are at various stages of investigation and are being handled separately by the police and MTR for follow-up. Transport Chief Mabel Chan announced plans to allow autonomous vehicles to run in parts of the city within the next 1 to 2 years. This follows trials for self-driving vehicles set to expand to Tung Chung in June. Rin reports.
We hope that autonomous vehicle services will officially operate in parts of the city within the next 1 to 2 years, Chan told lawmakers at the Legislative Council. The announcement marks progress in the city's smart mobility development. The Transport Department has already issued 2 trial permits, which has allowed 12 self-driving vehicles to undergo testing at locations such as Airport Island and the West Kowloon Cultural District, with trials soon expanding to parts of Tongchong.
佢完成咗呢個測試之後咧，佢係咪可以去申請或者係
Lawmaker Gary Zhang questioned whether commercial applications, including passenger transport, could begin once the trials conclude. Chan explained that passenger transport remains the ultimate goal, adding that applying AV technology to car hailing could help fill the gaps in this sector. She added that many countries and regions have already integrated autonomous vehicles into commercial passenger and freight operations, pledging that the government will closely monitor technological and industry advancements to ensure Hong Kong remains at the forefront of innovation. Cheryl Yun, Cable News.
During his high-profile visit to Saudi Arabia, U.S. President Donald Trump hailed Riyadh's role as a pivotal ally after securing multi-billion-dollar defense and investment deals. Yet the deals were overshadowed by his abrupt announcement to lift all sanctions on Syria, a landmark shift of Washington's Middle East policy. Kunting Yang has more details.
Day 1 of Trump's Saudi Arabia visit saw the two countries ink $600 billion cooperation deals, including a $142 billion arms deal, Washington's largest ever arms sale to Riyadh. In his remarks at an investment forum, Trump lauded Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman as a visionary leader, declaring there is no stronger partner than the kingdom.
Today we reaffirm this important bond and we take the next steps to make our relationship closer, stronger and more powerful than ever before.
Mohammed hinted bilateral investment could surge to $1 trillion within months, spanning energy, AI and cutting-edge technology sectors. Meanwhile, in a jaw-dropping announcement, Trump pledged to lift long-standing sanctions on Syria.
I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness. The sanctions were brutal and crippling and served as an important function, nevertheless, at the time, but now it's their time to shine.
Syrian officials welcome the move as a new beginning, though analysts linked it to Saudi-Turkish lobbying and U.S. efforts to counter Iran. In parallel, Trump urged Saudi Arabia to join the Abraham Accords and normalize ties with Israel, a step Riyadh has long resisted without progress on Palestinian statehood. Trump's Middle East tour will continue in Qatar and the UAE, where Gaza reconstruction and stalled Iran nuclear talks loom large on his agenda. Kunting Yang, Cable News.
Now let's take a look at the stock market. The Hang Seng Index ended the day up 532 points. Top active stocks of the day: Tencent was up $15, Meituan was up $2, Ping An was up $2, BYD was up $18.80. Foreign exchange against the Hong Kong dollar: Canadian dollar 5.59, Australian dollar 5.04. Microsoft said it is shrinking its global workforce by 3%, affecting about 6,000 employees. The layoff will impact employees across all levels, teams and locations, with a focus on reducing layers of management. The technology giant stressed the new job cuts are not related to its performance. The company reported better than expected results, with $25.8 billion in quarterly net income, and an upbeat forecast in late April. This marks Microsoft's largest round of layoffs since the removal of 10,000 jobs in 2023. Onto the weather now. Becoming cloudy with 1 or 2 showers tomorrow. Hot with sunny periods during the day, with temperatures ranging from 26 to 31 degrees. Expect hot weather with sunny intervals and a few showers in the next couple of days. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world.
That's our news tonight. I'm Evelyn Bai. Thanks for watching and good night.